Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Vijeta. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
So,
Good evening.
congratulations, on getting, such a good rank. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And also, marks are also out, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll, talk about that also. But this 10, 20 minutes would be, sort of asking you how did you study, right? And also, it is for the perspective of candidates who are new and, want to prepare how to go about it and all. Okay. So that is how
Yes.
whole thing will function. And then, we will go on individual subject wise steps. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Vijeta. So first, tell us about yourself.
Yes, sir. So my name is Vijeta Hosamani. So I'm from Vijaypura district of Karnataka, sir. And currently I'm staying at Hubballi in Karnataka only. And I've done my preparation for the UPSC staying at Hubballi in Karnataka. So this was my fourth attempt at the civil services exam, and I have secured the 100th rank. And this was my first mains and interview.
Okay. Uh, you are a graduate of 2019, right? So almost it
Right.
is, yes, 6, 7 year journey, right? So how did you cope up with that? Because normally people are there in the same in June for a long time, right? So how did you cope up with it, right? So what did you do to keep yourself
Yes.
motivated of some sort? Yes.
So the decision to appear for civil services exam was taken during the end of my 5-year course. So I had decided to attempt the 2020 paper exam. So it has been a journey of about 4.5 to 5 years now. So initially in the first three attempts, so I couldn't get through the prelims. So that was highly demotivating, but also I kept realizing that I'm making consistent mistakes at prelim stage itself. So figuring that out helped me understand that maybe it's not the lack of knowledge or other strategy, but just focusing on how to develop the MCQ aptitude. That is where I should focus on. So I had this thing decided in my head that civil services is what I want to pursue because I had given it quite a lot of thought during my graduation. So I had done several stints of internships, especially at litigation during my graduation. So I was well aware of what my career options are. So because this was a well thought out decision, so my determination was firm. So I think that helped me, and then realizing where I'm making the mistake. So both of these together helped me stay motivated, even though it was a long process, because I was confident that once I rectify my mistake, then I will get through it.
Okay. No, because obviously we have interacted before, right? So I found you very attentive, right? So you are very attentive to detail, going through the individual things very nicely. That's quite good. Second thing is that when did you? I mean, obviously, sorry, you already informed that you started once you are graduated, right? So if someone is suppose in third and fourth year or fifth year, so how should they go about if they intend to prepare later on? So how should they go about it? Law
Um,
only with
yes.
regard to law, yeah.
So with regard to optional, so if they have made up their mind that this is what they want to pursue, then starting right from college would be extremely advantageous to them because the subjects that we are studying for mains with law optional are the same subjects that we are studying in depth in university. So even while preparing for me, the knowledge that I had gained during graduation helped me a lot. So even though the same knowledge, I think I remember most of it even now during this preparation. So if someone is in third or fourth year, then they can, I don't think they need to do anything special for civil services, but just be more attentive during classes, especially for the basic subjects of law like constitutional law and administrative law, service law, and international law, and even the law paper two subjects like criminal law. Probably those would already be covered in the initial years, like second year or third year, but they can revise that and maybe study a little more in depth and maybe write some articles on that or research more in those fields because one it will help them stay more motivated because they are gaining more in-depth knowledge, and secondly it will enhance the researching skills which will again come in handy during preparation stage also now because here we'll have a time crunch and we'll probably have to keep ourselves updated with law and our researching skills and writing skills will come in handy.
So they say ideally start with third and fourth year, so that they won't be, needing much help
Yes,
after
if
that.
they have made up their mind, then that would be a great starting point.
Okay, that's good. See, because generally what happens as a lawyer, right? As a lawyer, there is always this pull, right? That kuch nahi hoga to, we can go back to law all the time, right? Obviously, that option is always open, right? So, but still,
Yes.
students are sometimes, not very prepared in the third and fourth year, right? So they feel like that after once I graduate, I will see what to do, right? So you are
Right, sir.
the alternative that start if you're prepared, then decide early and start from third and fourth year. That would be a good time.
But with the caveat, sir, that they should have explored their career options. So if they have explored what their interests
If they
are
have
and then
interest,
come up,
if they have the interest.
then it is a good choice, because otherwise they may, regret that they haven't spent their internship opportunities well. So because I was interested in litigation, I did mostly all my internship in litigation. So only towards the end, I realized that after my experience in litigation, I think civil services gives more diversity.
Would be the big good choice. Yes, yes. I remember, you told me earlier also, right? You had first
Yes.
exhausted this. Yes. Okay. So litigation was, I mean, just normal litigation was not a very good experience for you.
Sir, I really enjoy the work very much, especially my interest was in the field of criminal law and litigation there. So, as my interest in the subject, really, I mean, I'm very passionate about it. However, my vision for myself and my life as to be of service at the maximum level possible from my side. So, in this tangent, if I think, then I thought that the civil services offers more diverse opportunities and the scope is wider here than compared to litigation. And I always had the option of litigation, and because civil services is there's a fixed time, age limit and cap a number of attempts limit. So even though I had gotten myself enrolled, I decided that this is what I want to try first, and if not, then I will go back to my
Litigation, you
first.
are always open, right? Even after, going into service and people resign after 10, 12 years, go back, right? It is always good.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay, now let us move to the subject part, individual subject part. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
first, let us start with the constitutional law. So how did you study constitutional law? I mean, what are the sources that you referred, or any special things or a special, areas that you referred more? How did you go about it?
So for constitutional law, I mainly relied on my own college notes from graduation days. So those notes were probably made by reading MP Jain, and now I added the AK Jain books, the Dukhi books. So these two were primary sources, and my college notes. Yes, sir.
So Dukis are becoming, quite popular, right? So that is something,
Yes.
yeah, everyone is recommending, and that is also well written, right? Obviously, it is also the gist of all the major books, right? So
So
it is
because we had the foundation in law, so these books make sense. So if someone is a law graduate, then these books are useful.
very good. Okay, what about the international law part? How did you handle it?
So for international law also, I had some material from my university days, and other than that, I refer to S.K. Kapoor, and I even refer to Dukis for some parts only. So mainly, I divided between S.K. Kapoor and the Dukis.
Dukis, okay.
Yes.
What about paper two, the most comprehensive one, right? People often get confused with regard to CLD. So how did you handle that?
So for CLD, I had so for some like environmental law or so for environmental law, I had referred to the Duki again a little bit only, not in depth, just glimpsing through. And for other parts, mainly I focused on internet search for specific topics. So rather than focusing on any book, the internet search. And I think some of the articles that you had sent so from de facto. So for CLD specifically. So those were the articles for CLD. So that was it. Sir.
What about the Contract Act? From where did you study it?
So Contract Act, I had referred Avtar Singh book. So that was what I had used during my graduation days. So I had the same book with me, and it was highlighted also. So I had made margin notes. So that was what I had referred now also.
And especially those, contract people get afraid, right? We have one topic, but the entire syllabus is there, right? That Sales of Goods Act, NI
Yes, sir.
Act, and partnership. So how did you study it?
So for this, I refer to the internet again because these are small topics but important. So I first analyzed the PYQs and figured out from which aspects of these laws questions are coming mostly. And then I did some basic Google research and then looked at some law articles on this.
So
And that was it. So.
okay, so you did not went into, going into very detail and studying each every aspect of that, right?
No, so I first spent sufficient time to figure out from which part of these topics questions are coming and what is the crux in these topics. So I kept it limited to that.
So you looked at the PIQ, I suppose, right? And
yes, PYQs.
Okay. How about law of crime? From where did you study it?
So for law of crimes, this was a subject that I was really interested in. So during my graduation days, I had referred to the Pillai book. and I had read it in depth. And now I think that also came in handy. But for the exam specifically during mains, I again referred to my own college notes and the AK Jain again Dukhi books. Along with it, so for IPC specifically, the Bayer Act becomes extremely important. The illustrations in the Bayer Act were important.
Okay, so you went through the illustrations and with the Dukis you completed it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about law of tort?
So for law of torts, I refer to both the Bangia book and also the A.K. Jain Dukis, but selectively, some parts from whichever book I felt comfortable. So selective reading of different topics from those.
So, I mean, mostly I think the major, the whole preparation strategy, I think you mostly relied on the college notes and you added it with Dukis and, traditional books, right? So that is, I think,
Yes.
correct. Yes, good approach. Okay. Now, some of the questions which are very generic, right? And often while you were also preparing, this question must have sprung to you, right? Or people have at least told you that do you think law is not a very scoring optional? So how do you respond to that?
So I think that this is a myth. Any optional can be scoring or not scoring depending on how hard efforts we put in and how we study. So if we have the right strategy and if we do some trial and error and figure out what works for us, then any optional can be equally good. So for law optional, I think that it's not right to leave the optional just because we are hearing that it's not scoring. It can be scoring, so but we just have to find out what works for us.
So, I mean, I also make the same argument, right? Because the scoring is not the best criteria to judge. The best criteria is actually the success ratio, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, even if you got 350 and you are not in list, that is irrelevant, right?
Yes, sir.
The scoring criteria is this, right? But still, you spotted nicely. Now, what about the second very interesting thing people argue with regard to law, that it is very vast, one cannot cover, right? So, how many, I mean, if normally speaking, if a person is a law graduate, the assumption is that he is a law graduate or she is a law graduate, then how much time do you think effectively you can prepare the entire syllabus?
So if the candidate is a law graduate, then I think it will be as equally, more time consuming or less as any other optional, because it would not be too much for a law graduate because they have a foundation in law already. So given that, right now what they would need to do is just brush up on the facts and update cases and follow any recent legal developments. So I don't think that it would take too much time, because once we have a good understanding of the basics in any subject, then it doesn't take too much time to revise. All that we need to do is, remember the case laws, important landmark judgments, and that shouldn't take a lot of time. So I think we can balance it with our GS preparation easily, or manageable level.
Yes. Now, some of the questions, that people often ask me, right? So I think you guys are the, I mean, the ones so qualified are the best way, I mean, people to answer it, right? That how, yeah, what message, sort of inspiration that you can give them that you can also qualify, right? So this is sort of an emotional sort of a question, right? But still, right? That what message do you want to give to the students who are preparing with law optional, that how to go about it?
So the message is firstly that you shed this mindset that law optional will be difficult, because if you have this mindset, then it will be difficult. So that is the first thing. And the second thing is, if you have an interest in law, and probably that is why you would have chosen law, thinking of choosing law as an optional, then you should understand that your interest will take you forward, and it's not the number of hours that you are required to put in, because it wouldn't be strenuous then, because you're interested and you're learning this and you're revising concepts and you're following legal developments. So if you have a genuine interest in it, then it will not be as taxing as you would think right now. So with this, sir, I think that law optional can be a very good option, and students should not have an unnecessary fear about it. So my message would be just to stay confident, and before making a decision, spend some time to think, because then you will not question your decisions again and again, and you'll be confident.
See, actually, one thing is that suppose there is someone, I mean, I wanted to ask actually that if suppose he's a law graduate or she's a law graduate, right? And he doesn't come to coaching or doesn't come to me, or obviously if he comes to me and I will help him, right? But if suppose he doesn't want to come to him out and he wants to prepare or she wants to prepare, right? So what sort of steps that he or she can follow to prepare for law? I mean, you understand my question, right? So there's a guy, a person who don't want to join any coaching, right? And by themselves, he's a law graduate. He wants to prepare. So where can he start and build on that?
Right, sir. So for this, I would like to say that in my 4.5 years also, so I had not taken in coaching for law optional or GS also, but specifically for law optional also I hadn't. So so I could do it because I had spent good time during my graduation days to understand law. So and even now in the areas that I was weak in, I spent some time, and with our background in law, and if it's a law graduate, they would have developed this knack of researching a little bit and understanding things by their own. And right now there is no resource crunch at all with regard to law optional. Material is available, and the basic Google search will also give you so many good articles from top law firms,
And
or
that de
even
facto
websites
website, I
like
think, is completely dedicated to law optional itself, right? So each and everything
yes.
that you need is there on the de facto website, right?
Right.
So that is
So
a
you can just use the internet to your advantage and study law optional. So firstly, the PYQs will be the first starting point.
Mhm.
So once you figure out which subjects have what weightage, and within that subject what topics are important, so that will be your first step. And second step would be to make a trend analysis of what kind of questions are being asked, because you will realize that a lot of questions are repetitive, especially in law optional. If you see in subjects like contracts or even crime, so law of crime, so you're seeing that basic questions are being repeated every year. So once you analyze that, your second step would be completed, and the third, the only thing remaining now would be to make sure that you have notes ready on those subjects and those topics which are very important. And lastly, you can just keep yourself updated on the latest developments, and you can follow some current affairs in law for that. So probably you can follow the newsletter that you publish, sir, or also keep seeing live law regularly,
live law
which is
assessor observer, yes.
great, sir.
What about writing? I mean, how important the writing plays a role in the optional
Uh,
one?
so for law optional, the questions, I mean, the paper sometimes can seem lengthy, but if the candidate is a law graduate, they will be used to this, because in university also we are writing lengthy answers. But again, if not, and if you are out of practice, then starting with practicing by yourself would be the first way to go. And you can take up again. You can start with PYQs here and take up PYQs and write answers in fixed time limit, like say 7 minutes or 8 minutes, or take up full length paper and try to solve it in 3 hours. So this is the only way that I can think of. Other than this, sir, to help speed in your writing, what you can do is make concise notes. So especially for subjects where you have to quote a lot of case laws, so having concise list of case laws divided topic wise will ensure that your writing speed also increases, because you don't have to spend too much time in retrieving information. So if you have very limited notes, that will also help you remember quickly and write down quickly.
It also
And
helps
third,
you revise quickly also, right? That is also, very key.
yes, sir. Yeah,
And
right,
third,
sir.
sorry.
Vision. The third thing would be to try practicing in writing an answer in a structured way, because then this will also reduce the time that you're taking. For example, if there's a comparison asked, then rather than just writing two things and then making comparison, you make a third column and you write down the element on which you're comparing.
This is
So
okay.
the basis of comparison. So I think if you write answer in this format, then because it's in a structured way, you can write down quickly. So this is another suggestion, sir.
So this is really very helpful to the candidates, right? Thank you very much, Vijeta, and congratulations again. And again, I will request you that whenever you are in Delhi, right, whenever you come to Delhi for joining in all those, right, in a week or
Yes, sir.
so, so do come and take a small class like Kitika did, right? So 1 hour or
Yes,
so, and ask the students that okay how to study, because topper stock, I think you also must have watched other topper stock last to last years, right? So that actually
yes,
is
sir.
true. Even though if you find that okay it is something not useful, I will have to repeat the same thing, but still it is very useful, right? because
It is.
because as a teacher I repeat the same thing again and again, right? But still it is useful. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
don't think like that. Okay, I will repeating the same thing. Doesn't matter, right? So still come and take half hour or so of class of them, right? And that will be quite helpful for the students. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir.